And for those of you who feel that we don't have the power or we have to ask, what we do shapes the world. I don't know why y'all haven't figured that out yet. Our soft power shapes the world. When we see, they did little tests. Okay? The first test was, let's work on these Hispanics. Let's start sending ICE to get these Hispanics out. We ain't say nothing. We didn't march. We didn't stand next to. We ain't say nothing. They was like, oh, word? Black people ain't saying nothing about that? Okay. All right. Because whoever said something about it, it wasn't enough for them to stop. Okay. So they said, oh, word? Y'all ain't say nothing? Okay, let's end TPS for Haitians and Syrians. Oh, black people ain't say nothing? Oh, word? Let's end TPS for Ethiopia. Oh, word? And then here's the thing. Once that starts happening, then other countries start doing it. Now look at Ireland. Ireland is ready to kick people out. You understand what I'm saying? Germany's ready to kick people out. The UK is ready to kick. Everybody is gearing up to do what we're doing over here. We set the trend. Y'all want to keep talking about you don't own this, you don't own that? Oh, okay. Talking, keep bumping your gums about what we don't own. We set the trends, because if we say let it ride, that flies. So, y'all keep it up. Thank you. How you do this? I'm just now learning how to show things on the bottom, so I apologize. It was definitely comments I wish I could have put up there, but I didn't know how to do that. Y'all got to work with me, okay? I'm new to this thing. Okay, all right. So I'm learning, okay? All right, so let's keep going. We got about another 10 minutes left in this, and then we gonna wrap it up.
Let's go back to what I said about the incentive structures. Mm-hmm. I mean, U.S. citizenship ain't a bad one to have. Yeah. Okay. Despite what some people will have you believe. Right. So, this is kind of set up for exploitation. Like, everyone wants to have that opportunity for their kid. I mean, I'm just saying, like, with your best intentions, we're not trying to be subversive. You just want a kind of a better life for your kid. If you can, do it here on American soil, you could be thinking, hey, they'll be set for life, right?
Yes, absolutely, you would. And I understand the motivation there. The challenge with the birth tourism arrangement is the child is a U.S. citizen in name because they were born here, but they're not being raised here.
Right. This is the clause that the Supreme Court is going to be assessing.
Exactly right.
Right.
And there's not easy answers in the sense that, again, I understand somebody who's made a life for themselves here. They've lived here 25 years. They've worked hard. They had a child, 12 years ago. Should that child be a U.S. citizen? Maybe. But again, I don't see anybody that can make a reasonable case that a child that's born here and then put on a jet plane in business class to go back to China and has been raised there in this CCP bubble, how on earth we can count that person as U.S. citizen that has the ability to vote or get a government job or whatever?
Well, obviously a massive national security implication. I don't even want to, it should be obvious on its face.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Pause. I want to talk about some things that have already happened, right? So when they talking about these children that can be raised in the People's Republic of China and then brought back here when they're adults and they can vote and they can apply for jobs in certain areas. Do y'all remember when we had trains coming off the tracks?
Tonight, emergency crews desperately trying to get control of a potentially deadly situation with a controlled detonation. For 3 days, warning residents the burning wreckage of a freight train could explode, sending shrapnel and toxic fumes a mile in every direction over a rural Ohio community.
It's kind of crazy for a small town like this.
Thousands of residents under a mandatory evacuation order. Police going door to door, threatening families with children with arrest if they don't leave.
Police car came up and said, evacuate, evacuate, evacuate now, get out, get out.
Friday night, as many as 50 of the train's 150 cars derailed en route from Illinois to Pennsylvania. Today, the response focused on 5 cars carrying hundreds of thousands of pounds of vinyl chloride used to make PVC pipes and vehicle upholstery, and also linked to increased risk of cancer, according to the CDC.
This is a matter of life and death. This controlled release will actually take place, and you are in imminent danger.
Officials again warning residents to stay away as they use small explosives to blow holes in the train cars, hoping the hazardous material will seep into ditches where it can be burned safely away.
We want to be able to control that situation. That's the safest way, is to control the situation, and that's with this operation we're going to take this afternoon.
Tonight, railroad officials declaring that operation a success, apparently easing the threat to this community as residents await word that it is safe.
Boats crashing into whatchamacallit.
That breaking news that you started with, Matt, overnight in Baltimore, Maryland. A portion of the Francis Scott Key Bridge has collapsed. You see what happened down into the harbor. That large boat collided with the bridge around 1:30 this morning. That just sent the span rippling down into those freezing waters below. Authorities are trying to rescue at least 7 people who were doing overnight work on the bridge. They're believed to have been tossed into the waves. Fire crews say several vehicles hit the water, including one the size of a tractor trailer. Hoping people were able to get out of their vehicles when they got into the water. Divers have been dispatched into the water for what is now being called a dire mass casualty incident. I have chills thinking about the people who were in those vehicles and the workers.
And now the rescue that's underway.
And so we're going to think good thoughts and send prayers and bring you updates as soon as they come in.
What you think that was? You think those was accidents? I don't think they were accidents. I think those, because look up Chinese spies. Okay? Biden's CIA director pick takes aim at China. Biden's shoe-in nominee to be CIA Director William J. Burns delighted senators considering his confirmation by taking a hard line on Beijing. In doing so, however, he went further than Biden has publicly on the question of how to counter an alleged Chinese propaganda campaign inside the United States. Say what now? He said he went on further than Biden has publicly on the question of how to counter an alleged Chinese propaganda campaign in the United States, okay? You know who said this? Not me. Not other people from the new black media, okay? We're not saying this. This is being said by the director pick for the CIA. He is the shoe-in. This is Biden's shoe-in. Republicans have been hunting high and low for evidence to support their contention that Beijing Biden favors appeasing China. Nothing significant has materialized to date, but the GOP appears to see the issue as an electoral winner at a time when both parties consider global Sino-U.S. rivalry as a defining foreign policy issue in the foreseeable future. That's the content for Burns' comments yesterday about Confucius Institute. Isn't that the same institute that Ms. Greenfield was paid by? About the Confucius Institute's Chinese language instruction centers operating in partnership with American institutions, but funded and controlled by Beijing. The connection had raised bipartisan U.S. concerns that their actual purpose is to influence public opinion as well as major institutions of higher education. So, Ms. Greenfield, you have been compromised. Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas Greenfield, newly confirmed, has faced Republican fire over an October 2019 speech at the Savannah State University that was part of a lecture series sponsored by Confucius Institutes. So now this is another, because the other one they say was in Africa. So now this is some more lectures where she was paid by the Confucius Institute. Okay. As my colleagues John Hudson and Ann Jurian reported yesterday, Thomas Greenfield said that she knew the affiliation when she accepted the engagement, but became alarmed afterward at what she saw as a predatory effort by the Chinese organization to exert influence at the historically black university. So she was just fine doing it elsewhere. Under who? Under whose administration? In his confirmation hearing, Burns placed China at the top of the list of global challenges he would confront if he is confirmed to lead Central Intelligence Agency, as well as the well-regarded career diplomat almost certainly will. Out-competing China will be key to our national security in the decades ahead, Burns said. For the CIA, that will mean intensified focus and urgency, continually strengthening its already impressive cadre of China specialists, expanding its language skills, aligning personnel and resource allocation for the long haul, and employing a whole agency approach to the operational and analytical changes of this crucial threat. And so my advice for any institutions in the United States, including academic institutions, is to be extraordinarily careful when engaging with them, Burns said. Asked by Collins whether he would recommend shutting them down, Burns said, if I were president of a college, a university, and I had a Confucius Institute, that is certainly what I would do. Okay. Asked whether Biden shared Burns' view, the White House provided a statement that described the institutes as part of China's use of information operations and other coercive and corrupting efforts to undermine and interfere with the democracies, but did not explicitly say yes or no. So why are we signing whole protections into law for a group of people we are at war with? I'm confused. It was the same language State Department spokesman Ned Price used earlier this month in response to fierce Republican criticism of the administration's decision to freeze and effectively kill a requirement that schools disclose their financial connections to the Confucius Institutes. When it comes to this administration, we'll treat Confucius Institutes as part of an overall approach to how best to respond to China's use of information operations and other coercive and corrupting efforts to undermine and interfere in democracies, Price said. He declined to say whether the administration would try to revive the requirement. Oh, let's keep going. So how? And then when you go further into this, let's talk about how many spies there have been. Let's just talk about some of the accused, okay? There's Shurin Quinn. In June 2018, Quinn was arrested on accusations that he shipped 78 hydrophones for use in an anti-submarine warfare to the Northwestern Polytech University, which is affiliated with the People's Liberation Army. Okay, let's talk about Ji Zhaoquin. 27, a Chinese citizen residing in Chicago, was arrested in Chicago September 25th, 2018 for allegedly acting with the United States as an illegal agent of the People's Republic of China. Ji worked at the direction of a high-level intelligence office for the Jiangsu Province Ministry and State Security, a provincial department of the Ministry of State Secretary of the People's Republic of China. Okay. Yang Zhongzhu, also known as Q Hu and Zhang Hu, was charged in October 2018 with conspiring and attempting to commit economic espionage and steal trade secrets from multiple U.S. aviation and aerospace companies. Okay. Let's talk about another Asian spy, Zhu Dongyou, also known as William Yo, 57, a naturalized U.S. citizen. He was given citizenship. A naturalized U.S. citizen wanted for the alleged involvement in the theft of proprietary information from a locomotive manufacturer in Chicago, Illinois. Yo is currently at large and believed to be residing in China. On November 18, 2015, Yo traveled from China to O'Hare Airport, blah, blah, blah. Let's read another one. There's so many of them. On September 16, 2019, Zhou Lu was arrested in Fort Lee, New Jersey by federal agents and charged with conspiracy to commit visa fraud for his involvement in a conspiracy to fraudulently obtain U.S. visas for Chinese government employees. U.S. Attorney Jeffrey S. Barron stated, as alleged, Zhou Lu conspired to obtain research scholar visas fraudulently for people whose actual alleged purpose was not to research, but recruitment. Zhong Zhang, in December 2019, Zhong Zhang, a medical student from China, was arrested at Logan Airport for stealing vials of biological research and attempting to smuggle them out of the United States aboard a flight destined for China. Zhong Zhang stated that he intended to bring the vials to China to use them to conduct research in his own laboratory. Oh, let's keep going. On January 28, 2020, the FBI issued an arrest warrant for Yang King Yi on charges of being an agent of the foreign government for visa fraud, making false statements, and conspiracy. Yang is a lieutenant of the People's Liberation Army, the armed forces of the People's Republic of China, and a member of the Chinese Communist Party. While studying at Boston University Department of Physics and Chemistry and Biomedical Engineering from October 2017 to 2019, Yi allegedly continued to work as a PLA lieutenant, completing numerous assignments from PLA offices such as conducting research, assessing U.S. military websites, and sending USA documents and information to China. Let's keep going. I can keep going. An Ming-Hu is an associate professor at the Department of Mechanical Aerospace and Biomedical Engineering. Are y'all hearing me? At the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, was arrested February 27, 2020 and charged with 3 counts of fraud and 3 counts of making false statements. He allegedly committed fraud by hiding his relationship with the Chinese university while receiving funding from NASA. Simon Saul Tian-Ang. On May 8, 2020, Simon Saul Tian-Ang, 63, of Fayetteville, Arkansas, was arrested and charged with wire fraud. Ang alleged had close ties with the Chinese government and Chinese companies and failed to disclose ties when required to do so to receive grant money from NASA. You see, they get into key positions in key places. Are y'all hearing me? And we are giving them protections under our government. At the same time, no, not we. Who is giving them protection under our government? Why is he giving them protections under our government? And he knows all of this. Kamala Harris works for the Intelligence Committee. She talks about that all the time, and she was on the Intelligence Committee. See, all these things right here, she knows. So why are they giving them extra protections under the law? Oh, we're going to keep going, because I'm going to make a point tonight. Where was I at? Quinn Wang. On May 14, 2020, Dr. Quinn Wang, a former Cleveland Clinic Foundation employee, was arrested and charged with false claims and wire fraud and more than $3.6 million in grant money. They giving them all kinds of money, left and right, grant money from NASA and this and that and that. $3.6 million in grant funding he received from the National Institute of Health. Dr. Wang is also accused of being part of China's 1,000 Talents program. Okay. Quinn Wang, Jun Tang, Chen Song, and Kai Zhou, 4 Chinese nationals, have been charged with visa fraud on June 7, 2020. Quinn Wang was arrested at Jing Wang was arrested at Los Angeles, California airport and charged with visa fraud. Wang, a scientific researcher at the University of California, San Francisco, an officer of the People's Republic of China's Liberation Army, is also charged with falsifying his U.S. visa application and accused of stealing secrets from the medical researchers and sending them to a military lab in China. Chen Song and Kai Zhou were both arrested in July 2020 for lying on their visa applications to conceal their affiliation. Look it up and see the list and where they worked. Some of these people worked in NASA. Some of these people worked in dams. Some of these people worked in electric companies. Some of these people worked in the FAA. Okay? Some of these people worked with submarines. Some people worked at the ports. This is the diabolicalness of this. Having people that could come back and hold these type of titles, offices, and positions and have no loyalty or no request for U.S. Security, for national security. The other day, I was talking to President Devine about this. Recently they had this actually somebody hacked, because this wasn't even what I was going to talk about, but I was in the middle of about to say something else, and then this popped into my head. They hacked the water system not too long ago.
Growing concerns about cyber attacks targeting water systems across the U.S. Minnesota, Michigan, and Georgia are among at least 7 states now reporting they've been hacked. Federal and state authorities are investigating whether Iran could be involved. Here's ABC's Morgan Norwood.
Growing concerns tonight over the security of water systems across the U.S. as ABC News learns more about that suspected cyber attack targeting America's water supply. Days after officials in Minnesota confirmed a wide-scale breach of more than 30 water treatment systems by potential Iranian hackers, sources are now telling ABC News Georgia and Michigan have reported similar attacks. The scope of the security failure now widening. 9 reported attacks in Michigan as the FBI and EPA warn utility companies that hackers are trying to disrupt service to critical water infrastructure. At least 7 states have reported some kind of incursion. In one case, the hackers were able to change passwords and network settings, preventing operators from controlling the flow of water into the tiny city of Breuck, Minnesota. Investigators scrambling to determine if more communities remain vulnerable. Federal investigators have not formally identified who is responsible, but they're examining possible Iranian involvement, noting the hackers have not demanded a ransom.
Iran, through its Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and its Ministry of Intelligence, operates a global network of hackers.
The president dismissing that possibility, instead blaming Minnesota's leadership without offering evidence. Governor Tim Walz firing back, pointing the finger at the Trump administration for taking an axe to the federal agencies who fight cyber attacks. Just last week, a number of federal agencies, including the FBI and NSA, urgently warned of ongoing Iranian-affiliated cyber targeting of internet-connected operational technology. That advisory specifically pointing to a vulnerability that the FBI observed Iranian-affiliated hackers were exploiting. And with tonight, federal officials are now urging water utilities to shore up its defenses, including taking critical systems off the internet in order to prevent future attacks with.
Morgan Norwood, our thanks to you tonight.
Look that up. They didn't talk about it in the mainstream news, but somebody hacked the water, and I believe it was California, like 3 or 4 states. It was a big problem. National security. How do you think these things are happening? Because you keep bringing people over here who don't care nothing about here. But then you want to sit here and squash the people who actually care about the country. But you know that's how they do.
So y'all was asking about my Juneteenth shirt that I made, okay? I got shirts for y'all. I got women's t-shirts and men's t-shirts. I worked hard. I found a really good supplier with really good quality t-shirts. So go to evenmelanin.com and pick you up a Juneteenth t-shirt today. They come in red and royal blue. Newly added navy blue. Keep watch because more t-shirts will be coming over time because I got a lot of ideas. You know what I mean? Pick up your t-shirt today by going to evenmelanin.com. Thank y'all so much for watching. Every time I see the views, I see, how many subscribers there are that actually take the time to come and listen to what I have to say. It shocks me. I'm just so thankful and humbled that you guys actually care about what I have to say. So please like, share, comment, subscribe. Even after you watch this video, leave a comment afterwards. I hear people say that helps in the algorithm. So, you know what I'm saying? I need help in the algorithm too. And hype it up, you know what I'm saying? If it gives you the option to hype it up, and become a member. I'm going to be doing documentary watch parties of content that has copyright claims, so I can't really, put it on YouTube. So become a member so we can watch those documentaries together, and we can just do some more learning. You know what I'm saying? I'm like Nellie Fuller. I'm still learning, and I would love for you to still be learning with me. And thanks again. I love you all so much. Bye.